Hello, how are you? I hope you are well. Today I want to talk a little bit about some certifications. I've been having some discussions this week around them, so I wanted to get all of my thoughts down into a video that can be, like, I can hit play on and refer people to. So let's do that. So firstly, what are certifications? Well, certifications are industry-leading achievements that attest that you understand and know a body of knowledge. Some examples of certifications are for networking. There's the CCNA, there's the Net Plus, the program and project management. There are, the Scrum Master, the PMP are two major certifications there. And for operational or organizational certifications, you could have, your ITIL or ITIL. You could have your Six Sigma, your Lean certifications, your Green Belt, and all that jazz. New coming to the plate are some programming certifications. So in that realm, you have the Python developer, the Cisco DevNet that is coming up, and I know Amazon and all the clouds are making certifications as well. There are both vendor originated and created certifications. The one that always pops to my mind is Cisco, because I'm a network engineer. So Cisco creates several lines and pathways of certifications. And there's also some industry-centric certifications. So not so much as like a specific vendor or a platform, but just kind of industry concepts as a whole. Like CompTIA always springs to my mind when I think of those types of certifications, like a Net Plus or something. Just the general concept of the material, but not leaning towards, or hopefully not leaning towards, one vendor or another. Every certification has its own set of requirements and rules around how you get it. There are instructor-led classes you could go to. There are virtual, and especially post-pandemic or not post-pandemic, we're still in the pandemic. During the pandemic, there are a bunch of online virtual classes and virtual training courses that have really amped up over the last year or so. Actually, they've been ramping up over the last couple of years, but 2020 has kind of compressed the need and requirement for those courses to spring up, and it's welcome for me because I don't like to physically go anywhere, apparently. Most of those certifications at the end also include a written exam or a written in lab combo exam, or several of those, in order to claim that you know what you say you know and can actually fulfill the duties of those certifications out into the world. So, there's different organizations that provide the scheduling and provide the placement on which, like, where you can take those exams, but you usually have to pass the exam in order to get the certification. That's how it works. So now that we've talked about what are certifications, what are they not? And this is where some common misconceptions can go. Certifications don't actually say that you know what to do in the field. And I know a lot of HR departments and managers, I'm going to rag on you a little bit, they also confuse like an individual having a collection of letters associated with their name to, hey, this person knows what they're doing. Yeah, a person can have a bunch of certifications to their name, and they could also know what they're doing. So I'm not excluding that that aspect. Certifications as a whole are how well you perform in a written exam. So right off of the bat, you're already excluding a ton of the population and people that don't do well on tests, won't do well on written certifications. That's just an embedded thing that you're going to come across when you're dealing with any written exam. So anyone that knows how to take tests and how to excel at written exams might not necessarily know what to do when you get out into the real world and in the field, and how to perform that duty or that task on a live environment out into the jungle. I said that. No idea why I said that. This also should kind of go without saying, but vendor specific certifications are tuned to that vendor's gear and material. So that's another thing to note. If you have only learned Cisco certifications and only know how to perform these tasks on Cisco branded devices, if you stick that individual or that person onto another platform or another device, there is an opportunity for them to misstep and not know, because they studied over here the vendor specific configurations and details without understanding the abstracted layer behind that, like the material, how those protocols should be working together. And so there can be like a disconnect between, hey, I learned how to do this on a specific box in a specific set of time, I can't do it anywhere else. So it's more like you learn material from a specific perspective, and when you get into a mixed vendor, mixed environment, where you have to do some interop between different devices, it can be a little dodgy and a little tricky if those specific devices behave differently pertaining onto like what you're trying to do. So if like spanning tree works completely different on an Arista device than it does on a Cisco device, you kind of have to know that, and you have to know how spanning tree works generally in order to then apply it to the specific devices. So when you're talking about like a vendor specific certification, it's for that vendor's gear. The way I think of certifications are sort of like mile markers on a hiking trail. If you think of the pathway of the hiking trail as your entire career, certifications can be somewhat of a mile marker to distinguish what pathway you're going, or where to go actually in the field or in your area of interest. Are you interested in designing data centers but have never designed a data center before? Certification in data center design might help. You have, there's certifications basically for everything in existence. So you could get one for the building construction itself. You could get one for the electrical system that you put in, the HVAC system you put in. You could get one for how you install the cabling that gets to the devices that you have. You could get a certification in literally the connector that is included on the cable that gets to the device that you have. And that's just talking about physical stuff. Let's talk about the logical setup of the data center, how you interconnect those devices, how you set up the network topology. You could get certifications on basically anything that you want, but if you get all those certifications, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of them will help you. It's just like, what area are you concentrating on, and what's the actual work that you're going to be doing? That's kind of like where you need to kind of lean towards. The first certification I ever learned or acquired was a network technician certification I got when I was in high school. I just valued going down the tech route more than the AP course route. I thought that would help me achieve my ROI dream faster. So I went for that. That certification was mainly like a review of the material that I had self-taught and self-learned in order to get around DNS blockers of my local high school and middle school, in order to look up game cheats and walkthroughs for my favorite RPGs and video games. Like, learned the material from the old school internet when I needed to accomplish a goal, and then that certification kind of helped solidify that foundational experience. When I went to college, that certification also helped because I already had that base and that foundation, so it kind of turned college into a 4-year review of the material that was compressed down into that technical certification. It was also a time where I needed to learn social skills. I was a very, very quiet kid when I was in high school. I wouldn't say 3 words during an entire week. And people that know me now think that that's unheard of because I like to talk. So that's kind of why I went to college in the first place, was just to like acquire some social skills. Yeah, I went from a quiet kid who never spoke to then a person who wouldn't have just a complete nervous breakdown in a room full of people. So that was a win. Flash forward 10 years, I didn't get another certification until a decade after that. So I had graduated college, I had nabbed a few jobs, and I was progressing through this company, but I kind of hit a plateau, if you will. So I went into the HR department. I said, hey, what can we do here? I would like to, get a raise. I'd like to keep the cost of living at bay. I would like to keep inflation at bay. What are we going to do here? And the response I got was, hey, we know you have your degree. We know you have this one certification from 10 years ago, but you don't have any professional certifications, so we can't justify getting you a higher salary. So objective number 2 was money based. I wanted more money, so I went to go get some certifications in order to accomplish that goal. What did I do? I looked up the top 10 certifications that will net you $100,000 plus. I think that's what everybody does when they say, hey, I want to get into tech. I need some certifications. let's go see what certifications are the most valuable. So I did that. It's the same rough top 10 list every year. It's a mix of networking. It's a mix of, program project management. There's a lot of different certs some that I've named before, and that's what I set my sights on. I went and acquired a certification every other month for about a year. And then I went back to my HR department and said, hey, I now have a collection of certifications that on paper should all net me, $100,000. Where's my $100,000? And they kind of laughed. They were like, well, your salary capped at the position. It was never a thing you could get in the first place. And there's no available mobility in order to move up within this company. And I was hurt. That wasn't great. I'd spent a year of my life going, studying, getting these certifications, just grinding out all sorts of training platforms, practice tests, online courses. I just did it all. And I felt lied to by my original, by that HR department. And I felt like I wasted my time, and I hate wasting time. Well, I like to waste time when I decide to waste time, not when I work towards something, accomplish a goal, and then it doesn't net me anything at the end. That's just not great. So I felt that all of my hard work had gone to waste, and I just kind of now had these collections of certifications that were great, but it didn't help my current position at all. What I didn't realize was how much it helped my next move. I started looking around for available positions. I started putting feelers out there, as you do when you're hurt and you don't know where to go. And I had these recruiters just keep reaching out to me every single day. Just keep reaching out to me. And what I didn't realize was all of those certifications and all that work that I put into acquiring them unlocked the automated HR filter systems that go and scour the internet. So, you have a PMP, you have a CCNA, you have an ITIL, you automatically break down some barriers that were basically there before. So what I was finding was a whole bunch of people were interested in me as a person with the experience that I had acquired over the last decade, plus and those pieces of paper that were now on my profile. So it was very easy, comparatively, it was very easy to get in and get an interview at an organization. Whereas before they were like, well, it's nice, but we're not sure. Those questions it was never even a question. I just got into the interview. And the certifications I've acquired has actually helped me progress in my current company. So when I have conversations with for instance, my current boss, and he takes a look at my resume, and although I haven't done any program management is a great example of this. I haven't done any specific program management for the current company I work with, but I have a slew of experience in program management beforehand, coupled with, a PMP and a couple of other certs that would then paint the story of, oh, okay, I haven't done that work before, but with these pieces of paper, I now have more confidence in the conversation. So here we are. Are certifications worth it? Should you get one? Which ones should you get? Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question for you. And I know that's not a cop-out answer. It's a combination of factors that you have to consider. You have to determine where you are in your life and where you are in your career. And you have to weigh that with, will this certification, will this thing that I want to get help me along that path? So if it's a brand new territory, you're not sure, you're not familiar with the surroundings, the certification can act as kind of a guidepost, act as a hiking trail marker to say, hey, over here, this is the way for that goal and that path. Have you already been in that industry for 30 years and you don't really plan to make a change before you retire? Judge that too. Getting that piece of paper might not help you, especially if you're planning on just staying in the current role for the next 10 years. It just depends on what your goals are and what you want to do with your life. I try to think about that all the time. Right now, I'm evaluating some certifications for programming because, I can go and learn programming like as a just a duty that I do, but in order for it to, I need to attach my programming onto a project that I'm working on, or else it just doesn't stick in my head. So having like a certification that would run through a survey of the language would definitely help. But I also understand that unless I apply that knowledge to my day-to-day job, it's not going to help much at all. In the beginning of my career, certifications helped me immensely land my first internships, which helped me land my first engineering job, which got me into the field. And then certifications helped me again when I wanted to pivot from one company to another. And then they helped a third time when I went to get promoted? I don't know. When I went from one position to the position I'm in now, they've helped me along the whole way of the path. So they have definitely helped me. So I can't say that I haven't been, helped by them, because that's not true. And that's the other thing too, is I'm now 20 years into the field. Certifications have a different weight, a different meaning than they did when I first started. So I have 15 certifications right now. A couple are expired. Most of them aren't. But will adding another certification onto that list of 15 change anything in the conversations I have with upper level management or HR departments or anything like that? Probably not. So it changes from like just a strictly financial question to now more of a interest-based question. And it's like, do I want to get that certification in order to prove to myself that I know the material, rather than the external validation of a higher paycheck? And that's just a different conversation as well. There's a cloud. My light changed. I love using natural light, but when the clouds change, it completely changes my entire look. The value I see in certifications aren't necessarily the badges of the piece of paper. It's the time you invested into learning the new material. And unfortunately, it's the HR, check boxes and the hiring manager check boxes that certifications definitely service. They will help you get into the interview, and they will help you land those new jobs and those new clients. There's even companies that will pay you to have expert level certifications just to sit on their staff, so that they can include that in their value proposition out to new customers and new clients. They'll pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars to have you sit there and say, yes, I have this certification. Yes, I maintain this certification. They then pivot that to then go win like a multi-million-dollar contract. So it's especially partnerships, is very valuable for them to have it. What are your thoughts on certifications? Are you planning on getting any? Do you hate them? Do you think they're not valuable? Let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the subject. And as I think through this topic more, I might post updates to this plan to see if I'm getting any or whatever. But thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one. In the beginning of my... Wow.